Hang on, I'm going to say it.
Long
Here
time
we go.
listener. Hey, wait, oh, you go.
I'm going. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 388th edition of the Off the Lip Radio Show. Drum roll, please. Our guest tonight, the one and only.
Here it goes. Half the show's going to be this right now, so do I prepare the listeners? Can I touch this?
Yeah, it's all clean. I cleaned it, yeah.
You cleaned it.
Nick Strong Cvetich.
There we
From
go.
Save
that was
the
good.
Waves.
I didn't give you a shot. That was
That was pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
I've been practicing. I've been driving around in my car going,
I
Nick
know.
Strong Cvetich.
I heard that from all the way back there. Good
Nick
job.
Strong Cvetich.
That would have been cut. Now there's nothing to talk about.
Yes, no, now we're going to talk about real shit.
Oh, no.
Well, do you remember how bad you said it the first time
Oh,
Nick
I
was on the show?
you know, I reflect something funny. I look at my, you're in my phone, obviously, right? My, my connection.
I'm in your phone. That's
address
good. I
book.
made it.
The name is totally butchered.
It's not even phonetic?
No, it's like, what the fuck is that?
Hey, thanks for bringing the road sodas too.
Yeah, the road sodas.
Yeah,
Oh,
cheers
all right.
everybody. Yeah.
You remember that? You remember,
Yep, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Oh, you gotta open it.
We're just driving around the Mount Rainier. Did you guys have that down here way back in the day?
I did not.
It was the best commercial. It was this motorcycle going, Rainier beer. It's like the most classic. But I don't know if it's like a regional thing. I mean, I grew up in Washington, so. this
Nice
is
So,
kind of-
but
Nice and cold.
before we start, I would like to dedicate this show to the late Dave King,
Yes, Dave
to
King.
the Watermen, right? So just a real sad story, you know, and like, I mean, some of my age, I wake up in the morning going, you know, it could happen to me. So,
You know, I was just like less than 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were messaging each other about having him back on the show.
Mhm.
He really wanted to come on the show.
yeah.
So we're gonna miss Dave.
Yeah.
Big Dave, huh? What a legend. I remember
Such a
some
bummer.
paddleboard races because I'm always the boat guy. He could paddle.
Yeah.
I mean, he had those
And when he,
massive
stood up on,
arms.
when he stood up on the board, it looked like the Statue of Liberty.
Just
Yeah.
Just
massive.
a huge guy,
Yeah.
right? And you know what a legend, though. You're right.
Boots put some pictures on his social media when he stands next to Boots, because Boots is like 5'8" on a good
Right,
day.
right.
My memory of him was on 38th Avenue one time. He comes by the house I was at, and he goes, "Hey, why don't you friend me on Facebook?" First of all, it was like 10 years ago or something like that. I had no idea what Facebook. What's Facebook? And he was the guy who pointed out what Facebook was. I always remember
Wow.
that. Yeah.
Well, what a great community member. He volunteered at everything. And
Right away.
I mean, he was
Yeah,
always
he's
involved.
down
He was at every event.
Right.
He had a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And here it is to Dave King.
Yeah. Just Dave King.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers, Dave.
Cheers.
This is shitty beer, right?
It's really, you asked me, I asked you, are you an ales guy or a lager guy, which is an English thing, right?
Right.
I still don't really know what it means, but you said lager, so I went with the
Yeah.
hometown special. If you said ale, you would have gotten a good beer. You would have gotten an IPA.
Something actually maybe in a bottle?
Yeah, no, I scraped the bottom. I had
Yeah, you.
to clear out the ice. There was some leftover bait in there
This
that I had to clear out of the way.
Rainier kind of tastes like Sunday morning. You know what I mean? It's like,
It's like a fishing trip like 12
Yeah,
years ago.
yeah. 14, actually.
Yeah.
I dug it out. It was in the cooler still. It was closed, so I felt like it was good.
we got a lot to talk about and catch up on.
We do.
You've been on the show a few different times, and you've
Thank
always,
you.
but you always had a spearheading event, or you were trying to save something, and we
Sell
got to catch
something.
up. But first, I want to hear about
Cows.
Cal Beach. Yeah,
Yeah.
fill us in.
Yeah, it was awesome news. It got hidden last week in between the high-speed car chase that ended in the water.
Send it.
On the west side, on West Cliff. That was a crazy one. And then somebody was arrested for doing some fairly bad things. We heard about that. So it was busy, and then all the background COVID, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But for the first time in 10 years, I actually think it's more, Cowell's Beach was not listed on Heel the Bay's beach bummer list. And that was like a huge deal, because if you remember,
We won one year, right? Didn't we
we
actually?
were the top
Yeah.
on the worst beach in California in 2012, 13, 14, 15 we skipped, 16 we were back, and then 17, 18 we started going down.
Right.
Right. So
That's like a dynasty.
So
this is how much time I spend. The fact I know this is just kind of a bummer, but no, it really is. I mean, when you think about cows forever, because I like snapshot 10 years ago, you're like cows, like it's toxic sludge. I'm gonna go out there and get sick. Like I don't want to be out there. I don't want my family out there.
Well, junior guards, people pulled out of junior guards. Let's go on and on about it.
It was a big deal. So I think really the cool part of this, it wasn't just save the waves. I mean, we were kind of leading it and facilitating, but the city actually did a lot of work to get it there. The county did a lot of work to get it there. Surfrider was there.
Can you tell us what that work incorporated?
Yeah. So like as I was saying, when we started, we were like, it's a toxic dump. It's just this mess, right? So we tried to figure out, well, what really is the problem? And so we did a lot of science and figured out that the water quality, it was a question of high bacteria counts. And so the water quality would get worse in the summer. So you'd watch it year after year actually go up. Like it would have a spike in elevated bacteria. Like kind of this time frame, like July through, end of June through middle of August, just this weird spike. And then the rest of the year, you'd have, elevated bacteria, but it wasn't nearly as bad.
Right.
And so we figured out it was right by the wharf. So it wasn't like out, we did a bunch of testing to figure out, is it in the lineup? Like, is it really high bacteria wherever we're surfing? And we figured out, no, it's kind of right around the wharf area. So we just started like kind of ticking boxes and trying to figure out if we mess with this one thing, will it get better? So the city, like in 2012, 2013, found that there was a broken sewer lateral from the earthquake. That's how long it had been.
Oh, they were flushing toilets out there, right? Wasn't that it?
Like it was broke. Like it's a private lateral, right? So
Right.
they don't control that. It's connected to the house and the household. They can see like, oh, okay, this is actually going not into the wastewater treatment plant, but like into
the ocean.
Yeah. So they fixed that. They did a bunch of infrastructural stuff. So like when it's dry weather, it goes back over to the wastewater treatment plant. That made a big deal. And then we started tackling. We said, okay, what's constantly adding bacteria? Where there's just a crap load of pigeons that roost right under the wharf, right?
Yeah.
And so they're constantly, and they don't like being over the deep water because the little ones fall out and fall. So they're in the shallow water / beach. So you just have this line of pigeons that was just shitting. Oh, can we say that?
Yeah.
Good. No more.
Yeah. You can
No
no
more.
FCC.
No more.
Yeah,
beep,
good.
no.
Yeah. You can
No
swear.
more
You can
beep.
drink.
No more beep. Oh,
Yep.
this is great.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So they're just crapping, and the tide comes up, tide goes down, just constantly mixing that stuff in, so you get really high bacteria counts. So guys on the wharf, John Bombaci, the wharf crew, they did like this phenomenal job of excluding all the pigeons, putting up like those spikes, putting up the wire mesh to just get them out of there. And it was cool because those guys were up in like, when they were doing it, it was one of the summers where there's just tons of south swells and they were just getting pounded like under the wharf. Like they'd have the ladder up and they're like, these big sets come in, like the guys up there trying to staple gun the stuff down. And but they did a great job. They got rid of it, and then the city did ongoing maintenance. So it was a long effort, but you could start to see it. A couple of years ago, we started to see the data really improve.
Because the Monterey Bay is so healthy right now. It seems like that's the only dark, bad spot.
Capitola, how they fare?
Capitola just comes and goes. It's kind of a similar system. We kind of figured out those wharfs. A lot of times they put wharfs where there's not a lot of circulation, so you don't get big sets in there and there's not a lot of surf. So just that, in terms of circulation, the water's not moving a lot. So those types of systems get elevated bacteria, and then you get the birds in there, and then
SoCal Creek,
there's run-up. So there's always like, everybody's like, well, what was it? And I'm like, well, it wasn't a thing. It was like a lot of things.
Right.
And so we tried to tackle a lot of different things.
And they started controlling the wastewater gate, right? The flood control at the beach.
Yeah, they have like a check gate, so that when there's tons of water moving down that system, like you can't put the check gate in, 'cause it just backs up and goes in the streets and everything. But so during the dry season, they put up the check gate. Any like extra water, maybe groundwater runoff, will go back into the wastewater treatment plant. And a lot of people always are like, I know what the problem is. It's the treatment plant. It's leaking. And no.
Yeah.
The treatment plant's like super dialed. They're really good on testing. The science they do is incredible. It's down to like DNA testing. Like they are such professionals there. And the wastewater that goes from that goes out like more than a mile off of Mitchell's. So it goes out, and this is like tertiary treated, so it's treated like 3 times, I guess, and it goes out with like, you know, obviously it's super well tested, monitored, it goes out way far out. So it's not even close to Cowles.
Right, right.
And I think people are always like,
And then-
it's the plant.
Right.
Right, people talk about San Lorenzo River, and that was part of it, which it was now, I would assume.
It could be. It's
Right.
really hard to see. Like when there was breaches, we wouldn't always observe like elevations and bacteria, but there could be a case for it moving through groundwater.
Yeah.
That's just super hard to know without a lot more testing. But it's not, you know, like we could be on the list again. It's not done, but it's like just to have that kind of public statement to be like, you guys made it better.
Right.
That was a big win
Right.
for, I think, for the
Thank you.
community.
I bet the federal government's pissed
Why?
because we're actually cleaning something.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of exciting thing. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, you can get people together and actually solve something.
Like, imagine, we actually
Do something.
got something cleaner.
Yeah,
Something done.
Well, congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
But it was you, the city, correct? Who else?
Yeah, it kind of came from, we had in 2013, we did a big, for the World Surfing Reserve, we did a big kind of community meeting. So what are the top things you guys are concerned about? And it was like water quality, Cowles, trash around on beaches, and then like, how do we deal with like West Cliff and sea level rise? And so we can kind of work on those 3 things
Right.
in tandem, and then, but Cowles was like most important. And so also from that, David Terrasas, who was mayor at the time, he's probably been on the show.
Uh-oh.
no, yeah.
Good old.
We have most of them, yeah.
I think you get most of the mayors.
Yeah, we
you
do
know.
get a lot of mayors.
Yeah.
Thank you all the mayors.
Thank you to the mayors.
Yeah,
Right.
they did.
Good
Yeah,
old
the mayors are great.
Yeah.
The mayors have been super helpful. You know, obviously Justin was really supportive of this. Hillary has been helping out a bunch, and yeah, you know, it's been a cool process to kind of engage all the people. I forgot what your original question is. so
Well,
it's
the
kind of
success of it is amazing, but now who stays on top of it? How do we continue to get it on that path?
We're gonna stay on it. We're gonna kind of keep convening the group. One thing that was amazing at the beginning that kind of blew me away was like the city was monitoring it all the time because they were worried about it, and the county was monitoring it all the time, and Surfrider was monitoring it all the time, and then no one ever looked at each other's data to be like, when are you monitoring? What are you seeing?
Right.
So that was one of the things that was just cool about the group. It's like, whoa, let's like
Collaborate.
share.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that we just get into those kind of silos. So that was one of the positive parts, was that we can kind of bring everybody together.
I wonder, Nick, maybe you have thought about this, the dollar amount from the flow of money into the city of Santa Cruz by not having Cowles on that list. Because it seems to me like people would be more willing to come and swim in the ocean and visit that beach knowing it's cleaned up.
I think it's even a bigger deal now. You know, like we were talking before the show here, that there's so many people from all over that are coming here, you know?
No, yeah.
And so I think now, and especially for people that are here, like, okay, you can't really just go out wherever you want to, you know, especially during the shutdown. There's very little things you could do and go to.
Mm-hmm.
And so going to the beach and getting in the ocean, whether you're a swimmer, a paddler, a surfer, just kids boogie boarding,
Right.
whatever, like,
Right.
it's so much more important. Like, you see how much having that open space and just being able to get in the frickin' ocean does for people's well-being. So, like, the fact that you can kind of feel better about going there and not like, well, do I stay home and go crazy, or do I like risk going into the ocean and getting sick from something else, you know? So I think it's we start to look at these places and see that they're actually super important for our community
Yeah.
and for people that are coming from abroad. But, you know, to your point on the economics, it's something that we've wondered, especially now, is like, okay, Santa Cruz is kind of a tourism town, right?
Mhm.
We don't have the boardwalk, we don't have a lot of the hotels and things like that. Really, one of the only things left is sort of like the parks and surfing
Yeah.
are kind of the things that we have left as a tourist attraction, really. And so people are gonna come and spend money because of that.
Right.
And so I think this has come at a really good time for the community. And then it's kind of one of our follow-up things is we want to know, like, how much is this actually generating now here? Like, how much is Cowles generating?
Yeah, It must be a lot.
Probably a lot, because last
Yeah.
time I was out there, it was like about 600 people.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like-
it's insane. Well, I've noticed because I've been on this block now every day for 13 years. I've never seen so many people in my life. So they're not staying away. They're coming, and there are more people that have ever been here before.
Because
Yeah.
they're limited in where they can go.
Yeah.
Yes.
People don't want to get on planes. They want to get in the car. And where else are you going to go in the car? You want to go hit the beach.
Well, it's crazy because I check, I was telling Nick before the show, I check every ID of a credit card transaction.
Right.
And it's pretty much like the 7 nearest states around Santa Cruz. They're in their car and they're driving here. They all drove. And they're all happy to be here.
And they want to come here, and they want to leave with one of those shirts that says
And a
Santa Cruz. Go
skateboard,
back
or
and be
I was
like,
talking to Peter Mel, there's very few surfboards available in the marketplace right now.
Interesting.
There's almost 0 skateboards in the marketplace. Well, there's no team sports.
Yeah.
What are you how are you gonna keep your kids
There's
active?
no swimming. There's no
There's no
yoga.
Yeah,
There's
there's
no
nothing. No gyms.
No gyms.
No. You
There's
got
no
surfing
baseball,
and-
no soccer, no nothing. You know, so
It's just down to surfing, skateboarding, drinking beer.
Right.
Putting on 10 pounds.
In this case, shitty beer.
Netflix.
yeah, I wore out YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. I'm like over it, done.
Down with YouTube.
Yeah, there's just. I mean, it's everyone is dying for entertainment.
Yeah.
You know, we have the bands, and people get excited about just being able to watch live music.
Yeah. No, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
You guys, Neil's been to them before, but we had the Save the Waves film festival.
Yeah.
We used to do. We did that for.
San
West of the
Francisco,
city?
right? Yeah.
Oh, we did it all over the
Yeah.
place. I mean, last couple of years we produced like
Are you-
15 events, which was just nuts. So we decided to pull back on that anyway, and then this whole thing accelerated. So we put it all online. So we had 6 years of films that we put back all online. The response was great because people were like, "I never could see these films. I've watched everything on Netflix." I'm like,
So you can go to Save the Waves and see those.
yeah, all of them are up there for free. We wanted to
No
scope
kidding.
people out.
On
and,
the website.
Yeah, savethewaves.org/film
Oh,
festival.
just check that out.
So,
Yeah, that's cool.
so if you're
Yeah.
bored, if you're bored after this, there's some good films in
I'm
there.
bored
to get-
now.
Well, should I go get some better beer down at Rudy's?
Ladies and gentlemen, by the way, our guest tonight, if you just joined, just because I want to say his name again, get it correct.
Ready? You ready?
You ready? Drum roll, please. Mr. Nick Strong Cvetich.
Oh, that was
Cvetich.
Cvetich from Save the Waves Foundation.
And how long has Save the Waves been around now?
17 years.
Wow.
Non-profit.
Yeah.
You've had a lot of cool stuff. I know that you guys took our president, Donald Trump, to court over an Ireland golf course, correct?
Yeah. Well, we didn't do it like we weren't the plaintiffs in it, but we ran the campaign. So the kind of big international campaign, which was. It's like I can't even believe this is this story. You know, how did we get here? But a while ago, I got this email from Mark Massara, who might have been on the show before.
he did all-
He's like, "Hey, you should check this out." And it was like Donald Trump to build seawall over famous Irish surf spot. I'm like, no way. At this point, he's just a candidate, like the loud candidate in the Republicans. I'm like, we're going to be able to do this campaign that's totally aligned with our mission of like preserving these places. This bad project is going to destroy a bunch of stuff, and we'll get all this attention because he's getting a lot of attention. So then you fast forward like a few years, and he's the president. Now you've taken on the president's golf course. But basically, they have this really cool beach called Dugmore Beach. Bunch of dunes. It's one of the only beach breaks. It's kind of sheltered there in Ireland. So it's in County Clare, and so he was going to build like a 6 meters high by 3 meters wide by like 3 kilometers long.
Wow.
So like this massive wall on
Right.
the beach, which basically block all the access for the local surfers. They cut through all this dune habitat, so they have this bunch of endangered species in there, and then actually make erosion worse. They were putting it on there to kind of like stop sea level. There's a really awesome jacked up car that just drove by sideways. Like,
Oh yeah, we see that guy.
it's like, wow, that's distracting.
Yeah, he lives here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But really damaging project that was going to go in for no real reason. And then the whole irony behind it was like they justified it to stop climate-related sea level rise. And it's like, well, on one side you don't believe in climate change and it's a hoax perpetrated by the Chinese, and the other side you're protecting your golf course against it. So like, which one
Which one?
is it?
Right.
So we launched this big campaign called Nature Trumps Walls, and we got like 100,000 signatures from around the world to oppose it. So that was kind of round one, and then the planning commission rejected the first round. So then they came back with this other proposal, and then we did another follow-up to the campaign that had like 700 letters that people sent in from all over the world, like handwritten letters to this. You know, it's a tiny little town, so it's like you get like more letters than there are people in the town. And you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you know, to a degree, it generated a lot of buzz, and then they rejected it again. They were like,
No.
we're not using science to justify this, and we don't think it's in the public's interest. Like, the beauty of this place
I
is
love
worth
that
more.
story.
So,
Yeah.
Well, congrats to that too. Well, you gotta realize, that's the same guy that makes people sign waivers over the COVID,
yes,
that go to his rallies.
yes,
But it's a hoax.
yes.
So, you know what I mean? So let's just be real.
It's kind of
about
the
that.
same thing.
So that's done. No seawall at the Trump golf course in Ireland now?
No seawall. These things always seem to kind of like come back weirdly, but yeah, it's just the whole thing was kind of surreal. I mean, not to get into too many stories, but like in the middle of the campaign, like right before we had our website donation portal go down, like somebody brought it down, and then I went through all the analytics on the back end. It was like so much hits from Russian websites. I'm like,
Really?
this cannot be true, you know. So there's just a lot.
And I mean, I've been to Ireland many times, grew up in England, but I can't think of one Irishman, or Irish woman for that matter, who'd want that, period. That wall there. It's built by him in their beautiful countryside.
You know, I think it was real interesting, because we're obviously not from there, so we're kind of like, you know, gringos from wherever, kind of,
Yeah.
they don't like the outside influence that much. It's like all these Americans like putting their finger on the scale for kind of politics stuff. But it was really a bad project, and I think kind of half the community's like, well, we don't want to lose our beach, and we don't want to lose our access, and like we don't want to, you know, destroy this beautiful place. And then the other one were listening to what the golf course was saying, like, we're the only thing that provides jobs to this community. We're gonna pull the whole thing, and your whole family's gonna lose their jobs. So
Right.
you know, it's a pretty depressed place.
Right, right.
And so when you're
Hmm.
faced
Scary.
with that, it's
Right.
kind of like, okay, you have these outside guys, or you have the golf course that's paying me. And so there was a bit of tension, I think, between those two standpoints.
Yeah.
But I think in the long run, like the people that are the decision makers and elected officials there, like, thought more than just, okay, am I going to have a paycheck until Donald Trump changes his mind?
Right.
I thought more like, what is this beach actually worth to us to be able to go and enjoy and like have this open place?
Right, right.
So how, have you been to this spot?
I haven't, but a couple of our board and staff have.
So is it a pretty big beach?
Yeah, it's pretty big. It's pretty long.
Mhm.
It's like long, open.
It's like Monterey.
It's like
It's like Watsonville, Monterey. The whole it's that type of beach.
It's
there
sort
where-
of like, you know what it kind of reminds me, at least picture-wise, 'cause I haven't been there. It's sort of like
Oh,
a
okay.
Silmar, but way
Yeah.
longer. So
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of that
yeah.
rocky coast where there's a lot of
Right.
weird kind of rocky, craggy zones, and then having a big open beach like that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know? On one corner there's this big epic old castle, you know,
Wow.
so it's real.
Oh, that's neat. Well, congrats again.
Thank
Great, another great win for the company on that one. And let's move ahead. Last time you were here, we were trying to save San Miguel.
That was another one.
Yeah.
That one's-
And do we have any updates on San Miguel?
San Miguel's work, so it's
In Baja, Mexico.
Yeah, so it's slated to be the first state park in northern Baja.
A surfing reserve too, or something.
It is
right?
in the World Surfing Reserve.
Mhm.
Yeah, so there's 10 of our World Surfing Reserves that we work with local communities in a bunch of different places, in like 8 different countries.
And what's that mean? What is that like? What's San Miguel, the surf spot, get for that?
So, you know what? Like, we can't really do anything legally as an international entity. We can't come into a country and be like, okay, so you're not going to do this anymore in your own country. Just
No.
one, it's inappropriate. Two, it's not legally sound.
binding, yeah.
So we the World Surfing Reserves, there's a long, lengthy application process, and we vet these different places that apply. And then as they apply, we rank all of them. We usually have like 3 to 5 applications at different places, so more than we can keep up with. And then when it's approved, we work with the local community, and it's usually made up of like the surf community, local government, local business, the environmental NGOs that are there, and we make what's called a local stewardship council. So they're really the kind of board of directors of the reserve, and then we put them through a kind of a rigorous planning process. So what are all the problems you're facing? What are the underlying causes? What are the solutions that we can put together?
Right.
And usually one of those solutions is, okay, how do we legally protect this place?
Right.
So
So you're
that
kind of like a phone a friend for these groups a little bit.
yeah, we're like, we come in and we kind of pull everybody together in a coalition, set the plan, and then really get people stoked on it by kind of promoting it and helping them with financing.
Right.
And was there dangers? I've surfed San Miguel many times. Fantastic wave when it breaks past this little jetty. Wow. Was there problems? Was there things happening in San Miguel that were going to endanger the wave?
Yeah, there's some sand mining back up in the upper watershed that was an issue. There was a lot of trash.
In that marshy area. Oh.
They were dumping off the bridge and stuff like that. And then the port commission, there's like all the ports down in Ensenada, they own that too, and so they're trying to kind of like potentially add another element to the port there, so they can destroy it.
Like a giant jetty.
So the idea was like, and it had been going for a long time, was create this first state park, because there's no open space for any of Ensenada, green spaces and all that. So you have the surfing, kind of campsite, sweet beach, like perfect right-hander that's really good, and then all this upland, pretty unique, like watershed that's still intact, and that's pretty rare for Baja. So protecting both of those things, kind of using the surf to also protect this other stuff that's pretty important for the rest of, biodiversity there in the community was a pretty cool thing. I've gotten to the point where this is the hilarious part about working in Mexico. It has all of the signatures. It's got like 10 different government bodies to sign off on it. It has one last one, which is the Mexican water agency called Conagua. And they have, there's one signature on this document to make it official. We have the document sent in to Mexico City office. The frickin' office burned down with the document in it.
Oh my.
Was it an accident?
I have no idea. But so
Jeez.
so I was down there and they're like, yeah, so we have some bad news about San Miguel. I was like, what? And they're like, the document burned down in the office.
Oh my God.
I was like, okay.
Send it out.
So then it got kicked back to like Mexicali or wherever the other regional office is. They're gonna print out the new one, all plan on this big planning architectural paper. They run out of paper and they can't afford, the office can't afford extra paper that size. So it's just sitting there. And then we were like, we will buy you paper. for it. So we buy the paper and then COVID happens.
Yeah.
So it's just sitting there until they can go back in the office. And then sign
Well, you're confident it's going to go
I'm
through.
pretty confident, though I've been pretty confident before.
And is there a timeline to that, like making it a reserve? Is that a perpetual thing, or? Is
Yeah,
it,
it'd be a state park and then it would be managed by the state. So they're just transferring, but as part of the reserve, that was one of the things that the World Surfing Reserve.
That's Baja Norte would be in charge of that, I guess. Would be.
Yeah.
And is that the first surfing reserve in Mexico?
Yep.
Wow. I can see that, similar like what we just talked about with Cal's Beach.
Yeah.
Becoming a great destination tourist, I mean, it already is a destination surf spot, but to have that label attached to it, it's kind of like a national park.
Is it important for the folks living there that it is?
Yeah, you know.
Or is it just like, a piece of paper and it's forgotten now?
You know what, I kind of thought that way.
Yeah.
Like when I was first working, like, okay, we're just doing this stuff and then it's gonna help us do other conservation, so we'll kind of use this big label and get everybody excited and then push a couple things and work on this. But then we have these dedications for each place.
Yeah.
So we've done, Gold Coast, Noosa,
Here.
Brazil, and all that, yeah. And I stood up there and I'm thinking, I'm just gonna make my little speech and I'm not gonna tell them anything incredibly important. I just said, you guys have a cool place here, it's like, I see the dolphins out swimming out the back, you got all these waves, you got these islands out here that are just magical, and it's a really cool place, and you should be, proud of what you have. And afterwards, I'm thinking, whatever, I botched that speech, and
Right.
and we'll just move on to the next thing. And a guy pulled me aside and he goes, you know what? No one ever told me that Ensenada was cool before. No one ever told me what I have here is cool and worth protecting. I always just thought little Ensenada. I wish I could be across the border
Right.
in San Diego surfing those spots. Or no one ever came here and told me it's special. Now, and I'm not anybody special to tell them that, but just to have somebody externally kind of be like, hey, you know what you have here is cool.
Yeah.
It actually was a lot more meaningful than I thought.
Yeah.
And so to have that, to really, I think it's really a huge piece of pride for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, and so that stuck with me. Is like, it's not a small thing to these guys. You know.
Well, and
But
when you get overhead San Miguel, that's a pretty special thing.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It's pretty good, and there's a few people that know that down there too, and they're always super happy
Real happy to see the outside.
to see us, but it's different. A lot of families are surfing there, you know, like Tres Emes is one of the other spots that's in the reserve, and I was just like, okay, it's kind of like tucked away in this. It's a little industrial. It's a really good wave. It's kind of like 38th, but like a little bit more, like, you know, when 38th is on a south swell, it's kind of like that, but an A-frame.
Yeah.
And it can get kind of pretty good. And I just thought, oh yeah, it's just this kind of like back end spot. A lot of families use it for surfing. It's kind of the local spot. And then I was looking through like these 60s pictures, and like Tres Emes was the place down there. Like it was a real legendary place. It was some of the first surfing, like the Wind and Sea Club used to come down. They used to have these cross-border contests and like all these old Leroy Granis photos from there. And like, I'm like, holy moly, like there's all this history wrapped up in these places that you kind of may not know right on the face of it.
Is there a next San Miguel you're trying to work on right now?
We're trying to take that concept, because we have all these communities that really want to work to protect their surf spots, and our reserves, like we are only making one per year, right? So I said, well, how do we like ramp this up? So we're working on a framework to kind of protect a whole bunch of places. So we're working on like a registry of all the spots in Mexico to kind of say these are the most important places to protect, and then work at a national level to kind of say there's a network of all these protected
So
areas.
nothing you can actually do. All you can do is make people aware that they have a really cool place.
And hopefully they'll
And
embrace
hopefully
it and
they'll-
want to take part.
And I wish we could do that. I hope we do that here on our own doorstep.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to start it here. There, I think it's a question of, you know, like the way the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary came about, right? It's sort of that same process that all those guys and gals walked through,
Yeah.
you know, how many ever years ago. It's sort of that process again in just these different places. So you're
Right.
working with a lot of the politicos, you're making it work. Surfing happens to be cool and kind of sexy, and they can see that there's foreigners paying money to come and surf these places. You know, like in Oaxaca, like being at those surf spots, there's nothing.
Look at Puerto Escondido.
Yeah, there's nothing there. So we're working in Punta Conejo now, so similar campaign, but then trying to kind of create it into a protected area.
It seems like pollution would be one of the biggest hurdles, because
Yeah.
there's just, they just haven't really got it in a lot of Central America.
No, there's all kinds of issues of, kind of stewardship issues on water quality and trash and just those basic things that I think once you start to tie it into, one, people being proud of their place, and then two, like money coming from tourism, it becomes really important to actually solve those issues, whereas before you may not have been incentivized. So it gives a little bit more push to the government to be like, you gotta do something.
Well, I hope so, because at Puerto Vallarta, there's a boogie board spot where the river goes in.
Yeah.
You can smell it.
You can?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Steve, you talked about before, can we capitalize on cows getting better as far as, all these people coming here from all around the world, as TC was talking about, how can we capitalize, or how can Save the Waves capitalize for the youth, people coming to Santa Cruz, so that they're aware of Save the Waves? Because, I mean, unless you have to bump into your website or bump into your Facebook page, there's not a lot of advertising going on that people know that you even exist.
Yeah, I think it's a funny dichotomy, because we're here and people are like, I don't really know, I've heard of Save the Waves, I have no idea what it does, in here. And then we'll be in like Australia and everybody's like, Save the Waves, we love what you do, like the World Surfing Reserve is a big deal here. We had like the Premier of Queensland came out and was talking about how important the World Surfing Reserve was to the economy of the Gold Coast and all this stuff. So we have this funny thing of here people are like, save our shores or our waves, I don't really know. And we're this little nonprofit, and then we go out and we're this giant, huge international environmental organization.
Interesting.
It's just a really funny thing.
Yeah.
So in Brazil, we went there and there's, I mean, you know, we had a reserve there at a place called Guarda do Umbaú, which I'd never heard of. It's one of the most famous Brazilian spots out there. All these former Brazilian pros were out, and they just blanketed the town with Save the Waves logos. A little pirating, but
Right.
you know, it was like your logo's giant on a billboard in Brazil, and you're like, holy shit, like, this is a big deal. And then we kind of come back, and people are like, oh, what? Huh?
Save the who?
Save the whales?
Yeah.
We had that. We got a lot of calls. We used to get calls of that. Like, I have this dolphin that I saw. I think it's hurt. I was wondering if you guys could like maybe come down here.
It's from out, yeah.
Out of the
We'll
way.
save the waves.
Out of the way for that
Well, the
dolphin.
dolphin's great. We love it. However,
In Brazil, we were able to do another one down there.
yeah.
What's harder, Mexico or Brazil?
Mexico, I think.
Oh, I don't know, right? Well, Brazil just has a longer history of surf. So they've just had people, like, they have a longer lineage of surf kind of culture. And they actually had quite a lot of people working on, like, environmental issues related to surf for a long time. Not that Mexico doesn't. It's just as the surfing culture isn't quite as developed in Mexico, I'd say. So in some places, in Puerto Escondido, it's like, you know,
Cabo,
yeah,
some places,
there's these
yeah.
places that have it, but like Brazil's like just a series of surf towns, and like everyone surfs there, and the waves were pretty good. I was not expecting that. They were actually pretty good. I was kind of expecting like this like 2-foot chunk where they're, you know, but on the 2-foot chunk, the guys would rip.
Right.
Like I'm like, how did you?
Yeah.
I'm like paddling and trying to just get to my feet and get to the down, and they're like
Ripping.
drop in like air reverse on this thing. It's this big. And I'm like,
Brazilians have a lot
I
of
need
energy when it comes
I
to
need a
surfing.
longboard for this, and you guys are on like 5/8. So yeah, but Brazil's challenging right now. Just given, I mean, the government is like pretty hostile to environmental organizations, so that makes it challenging.
They're knee deep in COVID
Hey,
right now.
well, the president got it. You see that?
Yeah.
God damn,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, you're like, holy, well, the presidents are getting it.
Yeah.
yeah, and he was like, everything's fine,
Yeah,
keep
we're
it
good.
open, don't worry about it. And
Yeah.
I was talking to our people down there, and they're like, yeah, everything's open, but it's not that good.
Yeah.
So yeah, Brazil's challenging. I mean, they got a lot of water quality issues that are gnarlier just because it's more industrialized. Like,
Yeah.
you know, in Mexico, like the super big towns are not on the ocean.
The thing when I went to Brazil, it's like Mexico. I think you're either multi-millionaire or you got nothing.
Yeah.
There's no
Middle class.
middle class whatsoever.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I remember kids when I went down to Brazil. Kids wanted to wash my little Volkswagen Beetle rental car. And he got, I'm sure, I'll give you a buck, whatever it was. He came back with a Coke, poured it on the top of the car. Little kid, right? Cheaper than you could buy a Coke than it was to get a bucket of water.
Oh yeah.
But then you're either a multi-millionaire or you're right on the other side of the fence. It's like shanty town. You got nothing.
Yeah, it's pretty. You know, I didn't really go to I went to Florianopolis was the biggest town that I went to.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. It's all these little islands sort of nestled together, and all these like surf spots just kind of into the islands, and a lot of cool. It was just cool. It was just totally different than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Really beautiful coastline, and then, but you're right. You know, still it's just a big, like that was a pretty big town, and so you have this super wealthy and then super poor. But
Yeah.
you know, I mean, down there, the thing that I was struck about, I just look at all the skateboards. That is like the skateboard capital of the world.
Oh, yeah.
Florianopolis was,
Yeah,
was
they
crazy.
love skateboarding down there.
So I stayed at a hotel that was like this like bowl hotel thing, and they had like 3 bowls, and it was old man's night, which was good for me when I was there, or bad for me, and then I was like, all right, old man's night, like really good, and then all the like 35 and older were just shredding. It was like, oh my goodness, these guys know how to everything they do sporting wise, they end up just dominating.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, they're really aggressive when it comes to
Yeah.
individual sports. With COVID going on right now, Nick, how's fundraising going for you guys?
You know, it's been kind of like a challenging, kind of up and down. Like we had to cancel all our events, so you guys have been to Life is Away before, canceled, like we pushed it to the fall, and canceled it because we're like, it's just
It's not gonna happen.
not gonna happen. And then, same thing, we had to do all of our film festivals online, but we were kind of moving that direction anyways, like less events, a little bit more kind of bigger dollar fundraising, individuals. So it's kind of fell in line with the plan, but we had to catch up very quickly. I mean, historically, we had a lot of contributions from a lot of corporate sector, and that just
Disappeared.
so that was kind of gone.
Right.
And then luckily our foundation partners really stepped up. So we got a lot of support from traditional partners, and then a bunch of new funding kind of came through, like luckily. So we've been able to sort of balance it out, which I feel good about. Like we kept everybody up and running at full time, all the staff, and went to a remote office. So we've made a bunch of changes. But
In the next 5 years, you see what's going on with you guys? What's the future hold?
well, I can't predict like 5 months
Minute?
from now,
Alright.
so or 5 minutes. I mean, anything could happen at this point. I mean, we have a couple big partnerships we've been working on. One with a group called Conservation International, which is one of the larger NGOs out there in conservation. So they have like 26 offices around the world. So places where there's good waves and important conservation areas, we're sort of teaming up to make more of these
Yeah.
reserves. So that's been a really helpful partnership. And then, we set this big goal for ourselves, which was we wanted to protect 1,000 waves by 2030. And, when we started, it's interesting because when we started, we were about 130, and I'd say this year's efforts on all the things we've talked about here, we kind of like amped that up by about 30 to 40 additional places.
Good.
So
Cool.
we're kind of like,
Yeah.
we're swinging really high.
Yeah, that's good.
Which is,
You got it.
I figure like if we shoot for 1,000
Right.
and we only protect 500 surf spots, we've done more to protect surf spots than
Heck,
anybody
yeah.
ever.
If we just protect one for crying out loud.
Well, it's in a way, it's like people are so thankful for what you're doing, but I can see it also being a little bit thankless sometimes too, because you're putting so much effort into it, and then you kind of step away onto the next project, and don't really get to like reap the rewards on your end.
Yeah, it's an interesting point actually. Is I don't know what the reward. I've been thinking about what are the rewards. Like what are the rewards for this work? And at a certain point, like
Well, that's just that man coming up to you, that guy coming up to you saying that he didn't realize this place was cool.
I think that's right. I think that is the reward. It's sort of about. I don't know. I had a time where we were working as partners, and there was a big thing, and there was this press conference, and like I didn't get included in the press conference, and I was just pissed, And then I had to go like take a long walk and like cool down. And I was like, well, why are you really doing this? Are you just doing it so you can be on press conferences?
Yeah.
Like that's the wrong thing. Like at the end of the day, did the place get protected?
Yeah.
And then like it's gonna benefit people?
Yeah.
That's probably why I should be doing it. Even though it's really hard, like ego-wise, to be like, you just want to be like, fuck that guy. Like this is bullshit. You know how much we did for this, and then,
Right.
and then you can't let people steamroll you to a degree, but you also have to remember why you're doing it. I think ideally you're doing it for, you're helping people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, if everybody could leave the world a little bit better place than they started out in, what a change this planet would have, So you're doing that. You're gonna leave the world a better place. And to me, that's what the ultimate reward is.
That's the only reason we have him on the show.
Why would he,
beer too.
why would he even be here?
No, it's definitely not for the beer. If you guys had me on for the beer, we would be over at Nubo or something, giving a real one.
Cheap shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the good part of this work for me is like, I gotta take something I really love, which is surfing, and think about places that are really important to me, coastal places. And then to use that to do good is awesome. Because I've done conservation forever, and like, how many times where I'm just talking about water quality and this, and people are like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like, can this be over, please? I'm sure there's some listeners out there.
Sorry, everybody.
They're like, yeah, God, can this be over? I want to get back to the normal feed.
Can we go
It's actually
Jeopardy?
probably Tyler is
Jeopardy's
like,
on in 20 minutes.
Tyler's like, will he stop talking already?
Yeah.
Clogging my feed up. But just people are bored by conservation. I think it's important still. And that's the thing. COVID makes you think about what's important. And I was like, what the hell are we doing? The surfing thing, conservation, does this matter? People can't eat.
it's important to you, and you rub off on people. If it wasn't important to you, we'd be screwed, because then no one would give a shit. Like you're out there, you're the figurehead, you're out there, and it's important to you. Even though if you get bored or you want to go out and yell at somebody or run, to you it's important. And that rubs off on TC, rubs off on me, and anybody else you talk to. We see you in the news, we see what's going on with Save the Waves, we see what's going on with you. I'm like, fuck yeah, man, he's getting it done. He's doing something, he's making a change for everybody.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. It is important to me, you know, and I think, again, as I was saying, COVID makes you think what's really important, right?
Heck yeah.
We're like, why are we doing any of this stuff, you know? And TC at the end of the day, he can be like, why am I doing this? And like, because I freaking love skateboarding, you know? Like, you wouldn't have these boards up here from 1984 with the original
You can
wheels.
sell them all, just go home and pack it in.
Love it,
Good
you know?
point.
And so I think to me, you get to see what's really important in this whole experience. Is like, man, I've seen people just get into the ocean, just be like, oh my god, like just to have that opportunity to get in the ocean. You know, now is when you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, you're scared half the time, you probably lost your job. Like, it matters to have these places. So I was like, conservation surfing, does this even matter? And then just watching that experience, feel like it really matters for people's well-being.
Yeah.
So I'm all in, and I do think it matters.
Well, I think too, especially we see it more so now than ever, is that you just got to get the snowball rolling, and it takes people to give them that push, and then people want to jump on and make it bigger, and the movements get bigger and bigger, and we've seen that happen in the last few months over and time again, and I think you can be the example that will make people realize I can make a change too. If Nick and his organization can make a change, I could possibly try too.
Yeah.
And that's leading by example, and hopefully you could create that snowball of people wanting to take care of some place in their life that is in, a jeopardy. So I think that's something that you can lead by example with, and I hope that people that see you and the efforts that you guys have made will take that to heart and say, I can do something too.
I need you to mention your kids, because, 25, 50 years from now, I'm going to go back and listen to watch this video of their dad, on this shitty show,
No, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad, no.
I mean, it's
I
like
want you
the
to mention
second best
still cold beer.
second or third best surf skate podcast in Santa Cruz.
Yeah,
It's
the best surf skate podcast in Santa Cruz, sure.
well, almost. It's almost there.
Yeah. So I think you got to say hi to the kids.
I want to say other kids. Yeah, my aunt and my wife too. She's with the kids right now. I was telling a story. She broke her foot on a skateboard ramp that I built in our driveway.
That went down well.
It was not popular, and we have two little guys at home, Jack Wilder and Cody Fisher. And Jack is 3.5. He is an awesome kid. He runs around. He's curious about everything. We went out fishing on the wharf last night. Caught some anchovies. He was stoked. Got the sabiki out there and just caught some anchovies. I was like, "What do you want to do? Let's put it back." And he's like, "I'm gonna take it." And I'm like, "What are you gonna do with it?" And he's like, "Well, I want to take it." I was like, "Well, do you want the fish to die?" And he's like, "No, no, we're gonna put it back then."
You're supposed to put it on a hook and put it back.
I know, but we only had sabiki, and we had to leave. And I didn't want it to end up in the car seat because I know where that movie's going. Right? He's a great kid, And then Cody is about to turn 1. Cody Fisher. He is on the move. Says a lot of words. None of them in English. Just a bunch of gobbledygook. And he runs around and he's awesome. And then Suni, my wife, is very patient with me. Well, I think I either tricked her or she misremembered. She's like, "Well, good luck at your appointment, honey." And I'm like, "My appointment?" And then she's like, "Hey, why are you taking the beer to the doctor?" It's not an appointment. We're going to a radio show, or it used to be a radio show, and now it's online, and I don't know. I didn't explain that.
So she broke her foot on the quarter pipe you built. Was she riding a skateboard?
No, but if
Tell
this
the
is
story.
something recorded, yes.
Okay.
Yes, she was riding a skateboard. It's a better story. No, she was changing a light bulb and then stepped off and landed on the side of the quarter pipe. And as soon as she came down, I was like, "Shit!" She just broke her foot. And she was like, "Oh, I think it's okay." And she's like, "I don't think I have to go to the doctor." I was like, "Yeah, sure. Like, just spend the night, see how it goes."
You can't do anything to a broken foot anyway.
Hey, she got the boot on.
Yeah.
So she had the first couple days with crutches, the splint,
You're
Yeah.
probably really popular, you and that quarter
Are you
pipe.
sleeping in the guest room or are you
That goddamn quarter pipe!
sleeping in the quarter pipe?
Yeah, I built the quarter pipe for the kids.
Of course.
There's
it's
one
more
and 3.5.
Yeah, that 1-year-old really needs a quarter pipe.
He actually is the most stoked on it anyway. He gets the skateboard and he pushes it on his knees and he pushes it up.
That's pretty cool.
And so was built for the kids.
Mhm.
They have not really ridden it as much as I was anticipating.
As much as you have.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
So
you're in the doghouse a little bit over this project?
Little dog. Yeah, I would imagine so.
I think I came out, but I might be back in for like something else. Something else. It's so crazy. This whole thing's so crazy. I'm doing the Hetzler surgery.
Oh, Dr.
you're getting
Hessler?
yours done.
On
Yeah.
Thursday?
Oh, she saw the doc.
So you see that
You
movie?
have to get the dole.
He
chisel.
needs it
Oh, my
back.
ears are, he looks at my ears and he's like, you're dying. That's how bad my ears are.
Wait, yeah, it's gonna be like whatever that movie was with Richard Pryor, where one of them's deaf and the other's blind, and they're feeling their way around. So we got one person that can't walk and the other's deaf.
I'm gonna let you a little Hessler secret. If you want the
Right here.
dialed,
He
no,
loves the
no. The
Sandwich.
dialed fucking hit, the dialed ear surgery. You take him a Subway sandwich, footlongs, ham and cheese, lettuce, olives. I'll give you the menu and take that to him, and you will get the good surgery.
But my surgery's at like 6:30 in the
Doesn't
morning.
make any difference.
They'll have it after. Now you're doing both ears at one time?
No, that's what I did.
Yeah.
It's only uncomfortable for like 2 days, then you're off and running.
Then back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I kind of planned for. But
Yeah, I guess
good.
you want to look at his hands too. Don't put his hands out.
Yep. There was a rumor about him retiring. It was going around. So you gotta get.
Yeah, he can't retire.
No, he's like,
No.
I'm gonna retire someday. And
He can't retire till
Well,
I
they
get my
have
ears
already-
done.
You better give him a call.
Yeah.
He'd come out of retirement for you anyway.
He looks at my ears and he just rolls,
It's
he
bad.
rolls
in
his
there.
eyes at me.
He after one show, he comes every year, checks everyone's ears, right? God bless him. He comes every year and checks everyone's ears for free.
That's
But
good.
then afterwards, he takes a crowd up to his office. So takes TC. Says, TC, you gotta come up to the office. It's like 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, 9
Right? 9 o'clock
o'clock
at night over here.
He's
pays
turning
the
off the
dark,
alarm, the
right?
lights are going on.
Takes it up to the office and gets in his ear, pulls a Volkswagen Bug out of his ear. That
Yeah.
fucking big.
Big old
and
black thing.
he's stoked about getting those things out of there.
Mhm.
He's like, oh, the first one he was like, well, I think I can solve this. Let me just get in there. And he pulls out the thing. Feels like he's taking a piece of my brain. And it pulls that thing out. I'm like, holy God, what is that? How did I get in there?
Petrified earwax.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's a bunch of different stuff congealed in there. And then the next one, he's just going like, oh, wait, I've got something, I'm gonna get it. And he was like, he's just stopped to get, let me get in there and just, you could see that weirdly brought him delight, but I think it makes people feel so much better, so he's like,
He gets
really,
excited. And
he's
then
like
we
happy
go-
to do it, yeah.
Well, when he pulled mine out, I literally could hear it.
Yeah,
That's how clogged that ear was. It was
it's,
insane.
I'm excited because every time I go, like, if I go in the water, no
Can't hear it.
earplugs or anything, it just gets in there and
Right.
I'm done. You
Right,
know?
yeah.
So, good
Well,
to get.
good luck with that, Nick. That's amazing.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
Dr. Hetzler, anybody who has any surfer's ear issues, Dr. Hetzler here in Santa Cruz,
Is the guy.
#1 in the world
Yeah.
for it.
Is he a regular?
Regular guest.
Regular
He
listener.
invented the tools
Yeah.
that the modern ear surgery for surfer's ear uses.
made in Germany.
And he's an amazing doctor, and I look forward to having him fix my ear someday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you how it goes. I'm hoping,
Yeah.
Nick Strong Cvetich. Thanks for coming on the show today, buddy.
Thank you
Did we
for,
miss anything that's going on with you? Save the ways of what's
I think
coming
just
up.
check in on what we're doing, savetheways.org.
Watch
Check it
the
out.
watch the film festival, which
Check
I
out
think
the
is
film
really good.
festival. If you want to get involved, I keep telling people, we have an app that you can just post anything that you see going on at your spot that you love.
That's cool.
And then we're sorting out the data on the back end.
Yeah.
And so we've got, people from all the world, like 35 countries that are using it, and we're gonna ramp that up in the coming year.
So download, you go to iTunes or whatever and get to download the
Yeah,
Save
just
the Waves app.
Save the Waves app,
Okay.
or you can go to our website and get it. And I think there's just a lot of ways that people help out. I just want people to feel like they're involved and they can be
Yeah.
involved. So watching the film festival, getting the app, those are all ways that you can get involved.
How many films in the film festival on the website? Do you know?
There are 6 seasons. each season is about an hour long, and they're usually about like anywhere between 6 and 10-minute films. This is usually about 10 films.
That's cool.
For-
We've got something to watch now.
Yeah, savethewaves.org/filmfest.
Film Fest.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
very cool.
awesome.
That's it. So, and yeah.
Well,
and
keep
then
up the good work.
go down to Cal's and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Along with everybody else.
Just, yeah, maybe not enjoy it all at once.
Well, we
Yeah.
hear about your worldwide efforts, and for the locals watching, and for Neil and myself, thank you for our local efforts.
Yeah, thank you.
Because Cal's is a jewel, and it should be polished and taken care of like a jewel. And with your help and your organization's help, you've made that difference.
Well, I think the other piece that I've learned along the way is like, we can't just fly around parachuting places and try to save people's
No.
spots. You know, like it has to start at home, and we have to be like, this is what we are doing at home in our
Right.
community.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to start here before you kind of fly around and fix other people's
Yeah, you gotta
problems.
take care of your own,
You know,
take care of your own garden.
This is where my kids surf and go down to the beach. Well, they don't really surf,
Yeah,
you know, once. But first
They
wave
will.
was at Cal, so.
they will.
Well, it was also great in regards to Cal's, is that it kind of got to a point that was like, well, I guess it's just Cal's forever. We're just going to have a dirty beach forever. And through the efforts, we were able to make it a cleaner beach.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, can make
Something-
any beach cleaner
Something
with that
positive,
kind of effort.
something positive for this year.
Yes.
I think we need that news every now and again. It's just been such a shit sandwich of a year.
Right.
It's just like, can we do something good? And I don't know, I weirdly, I must get like stubborn about it, but I feel like if I said I'm gonna do this and work on it, then I feel like I have to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And that's why we kind of chipped away at it for 6 years or whatever.
Congrats.
Getting a lot, when we first started, getting a lot of angry emails from Skin Dog about what we were,
Oh, yeah.
what we were doing down there, and you know, but kind of he was right. To be honest with you, it's like, what are you guys doing? Like,
Right.
yeah, what are we doing?
Right.
And then like, let's not talk about doing it, let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, I like how the city helped out.
City was on it,
You
you
know,
know.
and I think
They
that
get a lot
that's,
of crap, and they deserve, you know, a big hand clap for,
Yeah.
you know, just doing
Yeah,
the hard
that's
work.
great.
Yeah.
And the wharf maintenance guys are awesome. I
They're
know
awesome.
those dudes, and they work really
They work
hard.
really hard.
And I'm real proud to hear that their efforts paid off as well.
John Bombaci and his crew is great. The whole lab, the environmental health lab, did amazing science,
Yeah.
both from the city
The
and the
waste,
county.
the waste treatment plant does a good job.
They do a good job. You
And
know,
now
I
we
think
just maintain. Now we stay up and try to
just
keep it a little better.
keep
And
seeing what's there and try to understand it a little bit better. And you know, there's a couple things. Keep the maintenance going. Just make sure we don't see anything kind of keep going up. Again, it could be back on the list because it's ranked against the rest of California.
yeah, they can get cleaner
So,
too.
yeah,
There's
they
a
can get
chance,
cleaner
right?
and
And we could spike a
We
little
go
bit.
down, but it's more about, let's pay attention to data and make sure that's going in the right direction. It hasn't.
Well, I think it's rad too that you can have a peace of mind of knowing that you probably have kept a couple of kids that probably would have gotten some sort of illness, bacteria illness,
Yeah,
from
any-
sitting on the
anybody.
toilet, puking their guts out, because of the efforts that we've put in at Cal. Because that's probably one of the biggest side effects of people getting sick.
Yeah, and people not feeling safe. You know, like I think another shout out needs to go to Ride Away. Like they do great work, and they don't talk about it a lot. They just
Mhm.
go out there and they take kids that have special needs into the ocean. It's just such a game changer for those kids and families.
Yeah.
And if you have a special needs kid who's like immunocompromised, and you hear that Cowles is dirty,
Yeah.
you're not gonna want to bring that kid down there. You're not
No,
gonna
no,
risk
no.
that.
Right.
But that's such a game changer that I think just having people be able to experience the ocean, fall in love with the ocean is a big deal.
Well, it's one of the best junior guard spots.
And
It
junior
really
guards,
is.
get that
And-
going
Yeah,
again,
and,
you know?
and there could be a fantastic program there now, and they've got to grow and prosper again.
Yeah. Speaking of cows and right away, I want to thank, I want to pay our respects and rest in peace, Mr. Dave King. Show was
Dedicated to today's show.
Show was dedicated to Mr. Dave King. Got a bunch of shows coming up. TC, are you gonna do locomotive breath tomorrow night?
Yeah, you're right. I saw it yesterday. Yeah,
I went last week. It was really good. No one in there.
Really?
Private concert.
Man.
So not tomorrow night. We got another off-minute radio show with rock and roll band Locomotive Breath. Caitlin Winter. Jeff Denholm suggested I get her on the show. She won the J race like 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
Made it to the U.S. team.
Wow.
She's an incredible swimmer. She just got a scholarship. She's like 14 years old. She got a free ride to Alabama already at 14 years old.
Wow.
So we got her on the show coming in, and a whole bunch of shows coming up, TC.
Some great shows.
I want to thank Captain John Rivera of Coldwell Banker, skipper of the Chardonnay, for all the real estate needs. We recommend you visit Santa Cruz Homes by CaptainJohnRivera.com. The Surf City Sandwich. I want to thank Cvetich for the hamburger I had today. How about the burger, TC?
You want the burger, huh?
Oh, dude, it's a freaking phenomenal burger.
They make some nice
with
sandwiches.
With avocado, the caramelized onions, Swiss cheese, and a side of Caesar salad.
Can you eat inside at Surf City Sandwich, or the rest of the patio?
I just
took it to go?
You know, I took it to go and eat it in my car.
Got it.
That's one over SoCal.
And the 41st.
And the 41st.
I just ate there the other day.
Good.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
I discovered the sandwich nirvana that I've been searching
really
for.
good. I want to thank Merch for Socks.
Got him.
Got him.
Yes.
Merch for Socks. I want to thank Cindy from Merch for Socks. They're
Thank you,
available right here at the boardroom.
Yep, we
Chill
got
Out Cafe. We'll be at a show last week where they
roll the fatties.
They roll the frickin' fatties. Beach Nest Vacation Rentals. If you're coming to Santa Cruz, you want a beautiful vacation pad in Santa Cruz, no better folks to call than beachnest.com.
They have some nice
People's
spots.
Coffee.
Curtis, thank you.
Simply the best coffee in town on 17th and Baroma. Pizza One and Aptos.
You go there a lot.
I've been there a few times lately. Pizza One and Aptos is so right next to Manuel's. Trust me, unbelievable pizza. Jamie Jansen from Santa Cruz Core. Went back and had a massage the other day. Oh my God, TC.
Burn off some calories in that
Can
massage?
how about if it's sponsored? How about I send you in there for a free massage?
I'm ready.
Would you go?
Yes.
You're in.
Okay.
I'm getting you hooked up.
How do you get those as a guest? Is that a thing?
All right.
You know what?
Yeah, no.
Bring better Bring better beer,
Sponsored
Bo.
by
Not anymore.
I want to thank I want to Numa from Aloha on the Grill. I also want to thank Timmy. Congratulations to Timmy Hunt from Pono. Once again, a soon-to-be father.
Wow, Timmy.
The child number
Making
2.
moves.
Making moves. Listening Stack, which if you went to Listening Stack years ago,
Just
you wouldn't be going to see Dr. Henson right now. Listening Stack, they have the molded earplugs for surfers right there.
Great earplugs.
Right there behind the Chevron station on 41st Avenue. The Wave Clock. I want to thank the Wave Clock. I want to thank Craig for your nautical station for waves. Yeah, at thewaveclock.com. The Kayak Connection is open at the harbor. The Kayak Connection is open at Elkhorn Slough. Woo! Go check it out for some kayaking. Is that it? Oh, road pie. Oh, DC. More food.
Road
pies. I'm having one tomorrow. I took out the freezer today.
Did you?
Steak and kidney pie, dude.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah,
Wow.
road pie. Santa Cruz Mountain Brewery. I want to thank Emily. The place, she revamped the place. It is styling.
Are you still seeing Amber over there?
Still seeing Amber.
Yeah, okay.
She's my beautiful beer. And Jake
Really talking about Amber.
Jake Nielsen played the other day. He did a great show with Jake
Awesome.
played. And also, last but not least, my dear friend Sean Roebuck from Bombers Insurance, who is the only guy I know. He bought the bracelet,
The anti-shark
the
bracelet?
anti-shark bracelet that's been proven that bull sharks stay away.
But we're not worried about bull sharks.
No, we don't have any fucking bull
So
sharks
is he
here.
just wearing it for
And
fun?
he's like, it's like a child molester. One of those things where you
The
wear
first
your
thing,
bracelet.
if a shark bites his ankle, that would just be amazing.
What the hell are you doing, Sean? Where's this bracelet? All right, you know what?
Tastes like bologna.
462-322-2222. Farmers Insurance and Sean Roebuck Farmers Insurance. Sean Roebuck Farmers Insurance. Once again, thank you to Nick Strong Cvetich,
Thank you, Nick.
my dear co-host, TC, owner of this fantastic establishment.
Thank you, Neil.
Want to
Thank you, everybody out there at Santa Cruz Waves. Also,
Is that it?
we're ready.
That's
That's it.
awesome. Thank you guys for having me back.
You're welcome,
It's
buddy.
lovely to be here and be socially distanced, but still feel so close.
Thanks, Nick.
That's it.
All right, you guys. Good night. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Yep.
Locomotive Breath.
Yep.
Good night.